How's it going? Today I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about how many sets, reps, and how heavy a weight I go and why when I do my exercises. I've had a lot of questions about, do I do a lot of sets? Do I do lightweight with a lot of reps? Do I do heavyweight with less reps? To answer all those questions with one answer, yes, I do everything. Do I have a set routine that I keep to? No. When it comes to how much weight and how many reps I'm doing, none whatsoever. Do I keep logs of what I do? No. Do I ever do personal reps like PRs or the most weight that I can put on and max reps? No, I don't do that. I base all my training, everything I base how much I lift for weights, how many reps I do, how many sets, how heavy it is all based around my table time. So for myself, when I'm able to train, when I'm going hard, I'm doing at least 2 days a week where I'm hitting table time. That's where I'm able to gauge myself just by my ability to be able to pull through people, certain people that I'm training with from certain positions, how I'm feeling on the table. That's how I gauge my strength. It's never off max reps, because max reps I find are only using or targeting one muscle group and one muscle group only. When you're gripping onto somebody on the table, you can be pulled in various different directions. And there's also a lot of strength involved in all them different directions, as opposed to just one direction with max reps and everything else. So for myself, what I do, I hit my table, I go hard at practice, but over the years, I've got a limit. At the beginning, I never used to put limits on myself. I always used to try to max till I couldn't move anymore. I found all that did was set me back. It took a long time to figure out what my limit was, and I get certain pains, certain feelings in my arms, and I know if I continue to push any further, I push any harder, I'm gonna be exceeding my limits, I'm gonna be setting myself back. So I always go off of what my limit is. I try to not exceed my limit, but I try to tickle it every single time that I'm on the table and we're training. Every time I tickle that limit, that limit on what I'm able to do, if I don't fully exceed it, becomes a little higher. I try to tickle it again. Everything I do for weights in between my table time is all based on how I'm feeling after my table time. So if I have a kick-ass practice, there's a dozen, 20 guys show up, and we're pulling hard for a couple hours, and I've tickled my limit for a few hours, then the next day I'll go and I'll start out and say if I'm working biceps, I'll pick up my 40 pounders. I'll do a couple sets with them. If it hurts, I put the motherfuckers down and I grab my 20 pounders, my 25 pounders. And I'll do more sets. I just kind of get the blood flow and everything with that exercise, and it feels easy. Instead of doing my 40 pounders or dropping down to my 25s or 20s, I pick up my 70s, my 80s, or my 90s. So everything's based on how I'm feeling from table time. Keeping myself at 70% the whole time helps me to slowly get used to it. I'm slowly getting stronger. And then when I actually have a rest, a week, 10, 14 days where I'm just going really light, not getting a real excessive pump or anything through I go to compete. Before I go to compete, I find that my strength level drastically increases and I hit peaks that I never was able to see throughout my training regime. Keeping log books on how much weight I do, how many times I lift it, and everything else, for me, I find all that does is set me up for disappointment, because there's lots of times throughout when I'm training, because if I'm less than that 70% and I'm feeling that 40 or 50%, because I've trained myself a little too hard or something on the table, or pushed a little too hard throughout my workouts, that if I go to do them max reps and I'm not hitting the logs and the weights that I wanted to hit initially, I find it makes me feel discouraged and makes me, myself, feel like I'm not making progress, but in reality, I actually am. As long as I'm not exceeding that limit that I talked about, where I'll slightly set myself back every time. So biggest thing I find is just listen to yourself. Listen to your body. Your body will tell you how much more you can push, how much heavier you can push. Maybe I'm a little sore today, let's go a little lighter. Listen to your body. I find myself, and this works for me, other people have their own routines. Like I said, everybody's got their own chapter you gotta figure out, and their own book. You gotta figure out what works best for you. I'm just trying to give you my options and my book on what helps for me. And I find just listening to myself and what I'm capable of doing at that time and just tickling that limit every time, I'm able to get stronger. So that's what I do for my reps, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe. Hope you guys have a good day. Thanks.